Hey, Chargers Central here after an exhilarating win over the Bengals last night. How's it going, Levon?
It's going good. Always good on Victory Monday. How about you?
Great. And I was at the game. I'm still on a adrenaline high from just experiencing that. And oh man, so many Charger fans loved it. Loved it.
It seemed like it was about 80-20 Chargers on the TV.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that many Charger fans at SoFi. I don't think ever.
Yeah, the last game against Tennessee last week was the most I've ever seen. That was about 90% Charger fans,
Wow.
I think. Yeah,
Wow.
but good show out for the Bengals. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they travel well, but it's good to see these fans out there now. I know we have new fans too, which is always, welcome. But the original Charger fans even more so because like we've been waiting for this moment.
yeah,
And just yesterday was incredible. First half, Herbert with those touchdown throws to Johnston. Man, it was just a great start to the game. Obviously, second half, same story as every game, but we took care of business. At the end of the day, that's what matters. Um, could we have played better? Sure, but you know, we won.
yeah,
That's what matters. And I hear people criticizing Herbert still, and I'm like, dude, come on.
yeah,
He's not going to be perfect every single drive. And he had 297 yards passing, those clutch throws to Lad at the end.
yeah.
I mean, what more do you want? We got the win.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of game we would lose in the past.
Right.
They called it chargering. We get the lead, and oh no, here comes the bad calls. Here comes the other team storming back with Burrow making great throws to Jamar Chase, yeah, Herbert threw some bad passes in the second half, and then he got it together on the final drive.
Yeah. And that's what
Uh,
matters.
that's what mattered. Perfect over the top passes to Lad over the defender right into Lad's hands,
Yeah.
and it was exactly what we needed. And then JK topped it off with that big touchdown run at the end, and you love to see it. There was just no feeling like it, at the game, just everyone going crazy, all the Chargers fans, and
Yeah.
we're not used to this, man. We're so used to losing these games that
Right.
it felt
Right.
so good, man, to finally get that one.
Yeah. I was just so hyped after that game. I couldn't even sleep. Like it
Yeah.
felt like that Freddie Freeman grand slam against the Yankees game one type of
Mhm.
feeling. Like it felt like a playoff atmosphere
Yeah.
in and of itself. And then just to top it off with that walk-off touchdown, I was like, dude, there's not a better ending than this.
Yeah.
And Burrow played very well. Look, he's an elite quarterback. I don't think anyone has said anything otherwise. But our defense held their own for the most part, especially in the first half. Obviously, second half there were some, mistakes, but nothing we can't clean up. I think again, Henley just being that captain in the inside linebacker room, he's been exceptional this season. Yesterday, making some big tackles. Um, I mean, the thing is with the Bengals, they have two wide receiver ones, right, with Higgins and Chase, and the Chargers haven't really faced that type of receiver core yet until last week, yesterday. So I think they played well. That last throw by Burrow, I just held my breath because if Derwin didn't deflect that, Higgins would have caught
Yeah.
that. So I was just hyped. Great game. I mean, I know the criticisms are loud, but we got the win. We're 7-3. We can go into SoFi again next Monday, prime time again, beat the Ravens, and be 8-3. So I don't understand the criticisms. This is a time where I think the team builds their report, and really the coaching is what made the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we lost these games last year. Bengals have been losing these games this year, and the Bengals look like we did last year. Like I hear people saying they should be, undefeated right now, this and that, because they've lost all these close games. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before from us.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we know where you guys have been. And Jamar Chase didn't hold back yesterday after the game, kind of throwing McPherson under the bus, literally. And then also saying that he's not Zach Taylor. Go ask him. I'm playing football. I'm not calling the plays. I was like, damn, this guy's not holding back at all. But to McPherson's defense, that first kick that he missed, the hold on that kick was horrible. It was extremely crooked. It's very difficult to make that shot. And
yeah, and he barely missed that too.
He barely missed it. He barely missed it. Look, he's a good kicker.
Yeah.
It just was not his night.
Yeah, and you could see the look of disgust on his coach's face. They showed it on the big screen after that second missed kick. But yeah, and we did it without Khalil Mack either. Been battling a groin injury on both sides of his groin.
Which
Sounds
is
painful.
insane. Like, I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know. Oh man, yeah. So huge to do it without him. Denzel Perryman got injured during the game, so it was Troy Dye time.
Yeah,
Dye stepped up. But yeah, I'd like to have those guys for the Ravens, but who knows if they'll be available. But,
yeah. I think, man, because it's a Monday game and he gets another day off, possibly Khalil will be back. I mean, this was a good rest week for him since we won, and then an extra day off. He might be back. And if he's back, then good luck to Lamar Jackson. Good luck to that offense because we're coming to them. And Junior Colson's not even playing, and the inside linebacker room is still good. So when Colson comes back, it's going to be even more stacked. Also, Asante Samuel Jr. Is going to come back soon. So, look, we're getting healthy. We're still a young team, right? Remember, this was a rebuild year for us. Like all these experts, analysts, these guys were all like, Chargers. In the beginning of the season, when we got Harbaugh, they were like, oh, they might trade Herbert. And then they were like, oh, this is a rebuild year. And, we'll see what this team looks like in the future. Our over-under line for wins were set at 8.5. Remember that? We're at 7 wins week 12. I mean, come on. We're not going to forget, all the doubters. Now we're just ecstatic because we're finally winning. And currently we play the Texans if this holds. But if we can beat the Ravens Monday, we're going to clinch that a 5th seed, in my opinion, if we don't get to the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, hey, that number 1 seed's still possible. With the Chiefs losing to the Bills, we need to win that game in KC against the Chiefs.
Yeah, for sure. If we want to get to the first, we need to. I was looking at their schedule. They play the Panthers next and then the Raiders, winnable games. But you never know. You never know. Crazy things have happened.
And their schedule after that, after the Chargers, they have some tough games. They
got the Steelers, Broncos, in Denver.
In Denver.
Week 18 matches in Denver.
The Browns, who are sneaky, beat the Ravens. So
I believe the Browns play the Steelers on Thursday, and we could use a Steelers loss.
Yeah,
because I mean, I don't know. Would you rather play the Ravens or the Steelers in the playoffs?
I think I'd rather. Oh, that's a tough one because the Ravens are so high powered on offense, but then they have holes on defense, on that secondary. And the Steelers just have such a great defense, but their offense isn't as scary. I think I'd rather go against the Ravens because we saw what the Steelers did against the Ravens just because of their defense. Their defense held up and they won that game. So I feel like we could do the same thing to them with our defense.
Right. I agree. And before yesterday, I would say I'd rather play the Steelers. But the way that we played against the Bengals, like that offense is better on paper than the Ravens. Yeah. Even with Zach Moss out, Chase Brown's still a great running back. And again, you have a 2-headed monster there with Chase and Higgins. So you don't really have that in Baltimore. Like Deontay Johnson is not getting involved much. He's had, I think, at most 2 targets since coming back per game. So Zay Flowers is the guy to stop on that team. I'd rather, and of course Derrick Henry, but I'd rather face the Ravens because, like you said, that defense is just scary. I don't think they'll make it far in the playoffs, the Steelers, because the offense is just so uncertain. But they're going to be a threat no matter what because of that defense, as long as they stay healthy.
Yeah, and we just got to get healthy too, man, because I noticed it in that Tennessee game. That was a great win too, but not having Khalil, our defense gives up yardage now. Before we weren't giving up anything hardly. A play here, a play there, but we were getting a lot of 3 and outs. Now without Khalil, teams are getting yardage on us. Now it's becoming a bend not break defense. Before it was just we're stopping everything.
Right. Right. And it's expected because he's our best rusher. As much as I like Joey Bosa, he's our best rusher.
Yeah.
And just a thought of having Poona Ford in there, and then either Tart or Thule and Bosa and Mac healthy, for once, is scary. Because you can use Thule as a DT. We've seen him play DT with Bosa. Actually, he played yesterday DT too at times. He plays well in that position. So I think Poona Ford, he's proven himself to be that star defensive tackle. And in games like Monday, where we play the Ravens, and we'll talk about this more on Thursday, you're going to need that defensive line to step up against Derrick Henry. And I'm sure the coaching staff, they're going to watch the tape and all that. But just watch how the Steelers played against the Ravens. That's how you should play, because they stopped them. They figured out that formula. And then in terms of that defense, they're not that great. Like you said, they haven't been that great. Kyle Hamilton's their best defender, I would think. He got injured yesterday. I think he'll play against the Chargers, but he's not 100%. So, again, because you have so many options now with Johnson and Palmer back on the field and Ladd, the offense looks complete. It's just there were some plays yesterday where the third down to Quentin Johnston, where there was a DB on his back and he missed that catch. Had he caught that and that shrugged that defender off, he was wide open. That was a touchdown. So plays like that, you can't take back, but you can correct. Palmer also had a play similar. It happens, but in moments like that, you need to make those catches. And that's why I think he went to Ladd, because he knew that he's going to make those catches. There was, of course, that overthrow to Ladd. Had that been Johnson there, I think he would have caught it, because, Johnson's 6'4".
Yeah.
And Ladd's, I think 5'10". I'm not 100% sure, but he's not 6. No. I don't think. So yeah, obviously there was a little bit of an overthrow there, but should have been a catch. But we played well. As much as people want to talk about the second half, I get it. I agree. Seeing that 27 on the scoreboard and then making that run, I was like, oh no, again, it's the Jaguars, deja vu. But Gus Edwards also, I think he coming back from that injury, playing better. Getting less carries, but more efficient, right? Like his yards per carry has gone up. So I really like that.
Yeah, let me tell you the story. There was a Bengals fan behind me in line for the burritos, and he was all distraught. It was halftime, and third quarter was starting, but he's like, yeah, and Chargers still suck. Watch them go in the playoffs again and lose to the Jaguars again. Like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, there's so many things wrong with that statement. Like,
at least give a team name that's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah.
They will come up with anything. And then someone tweets or someone comments under a tweet about Herbert. Oh, but Burrow made it to the Super Bowl. That's an accomplishment now? A Super Bowl appearance is an accomplishment?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get these people. If Herbert makes it to the Super Bowl and wins, right? He's 1-0. Burrow's 0-1. So what's the point of that comment? It doesn't make sense. It's like someone making the finals, and you're saying, "Oh, he made the finals. Oh, great," but he still lost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. I've never understood the Herbert hate, but especially now, the way he's playing, he's been playing phenomenal. Like, he's, in my opinion, right now the best quarterback in the league. You
He
can
is.
argue Lamar Jackson, you can argue Josh Allen. Outside of those two, I don't see anyone on Herbert's level right now,
No,
and maybe not even Lamar Jackson.
and he had more rushing yards than Lamar Jackson yesterday too.
Yeah,
We see how dangerous Herbert is with his legs now, taking off for 30, 40 yards. And
crazy.
now, what do you do if you're a defense, right? You can't stop that. And then you
Oh,
got the laser, pinpoint passes that he throws too. And it's like, how are you going to stop this guy?
right. I just the run. He's juking defenders,
Yeah, yeah,
and these aren't defensive tackles. These are inside linebackers. He's just juking them so
yeah,
easily. I'm like, dude, who is this guy? I've never seen him run like this before. He had 65 yards rushing yesterday, on top of that 297 passing yards. Besides Josh Allen, again, I don't see a quarterback doing that. So at the least, he's the second best quarterback right now. And he deserves his flowers because a lot of people aren't giving it. So it is what it is. Just keep sleeping on him and let him keep destroying your teams. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, people, yeah, they're still going to give attention to other teams, until we show them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
When we start beating these teams in the playoffs, then people, oh, whoa, where did the Chargers come from?
right,
Like,
right. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, it's gotten to a point where the coping has just gotten even worse for these haters. Like, there was a comment yesterday. They're not going to beat the Bills, Steelers, Ravens, and Chiefs. I'm like, how do you know?
yeah,
We haven't even played the Ravens. We haven't even played the Bills. How do you know this? And the Steelers game, the one where Herbert exited in the second half, start of the second half,
yeah,
one
yeah,
where we lost Alt and Slater,
yeah,
that one,
yeah, yeah.
and we didn't have Bosa that game.
And it was a tied game up until that point,
Right.
like,
For the Chiefs game where Herbert was hurt and we had no Slater, we had no Alt, we had no Derwin, that
yeah,
game,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it just boggles the mind.
yeah, yeah. I can't wait for these games coming up. This
Yeah.
game against the Ravens, playing the Chiefs again. Like, people are gonna see. People will
Yeah.
see.
If we beat the Chiefs, you're going to see the biggest meltdown
Yeah,
because it's like it's a lose-lose for these people because they hate the Chiefs, but they also somehow hate Herbert. I don't understand the hate truly, but they do.
yeah,
And it's going to be lose-lose.
yeah, yeah. It's a weird thing that it's like they just want to tear someone down, and he's like the nicest guy there
Right.
is. Like,
Right. The guy barely speaks. And I think the reason why is because he's so good. And whoever their favorite quarterback is, he's better than. And I
yeah,
think that's why there's so much hate. But the schedule is getting tougher, but we're getting better, right? Like we play the Ravens, then Atlanta, who has struggled. Kirk Cousins has struggled, and I'm not going to put it past them to win because they have talent offensively, but that's a winnable game.
yeah,
Then in KC, then we come back home for the Bucks, who are without Godwin. Evans could be back, but we saw what we did against Higgins and Chase. They still had, their own solid stats, but we got the win. And then I think it's Denver before we go on the road against the Patriots and the Raiders. So these are, in my opinion, all winnable. Even if we lose one or two of these games, which is very possible, right? We're not going to win every single one. I hope we do, but one or two, I think we'll lose. What's our record gonna be? 12-5 at the worst. Last year we were 5-12.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah. And yeah, and I predicted 12-5 for the season.
yeah, I think mine was 11-6. I think it was 11-6. But yeah, yours might be right because I don't see us losing more than 2 games
Yeah,
here in this stretch. At least I hope not, because if we win out, if we win out, which is it's crazy to say, we'll be first in the division. Yeah, I think we'll be first in the division. I don't see the Chiefs beating both the Steelers and the Broncos. They're going to lose to one of those teams,
Mhm.
and we just got to beat them in KC. I don't know how that tiebreaker works.
Yeah, I don't know because then it'd be 1-1.
Yeah, maybe it's
Then I think it's the record in your division. I think is the next one.
hmm. well,
So
well, then
uh,
that's very important because we beat the Broncos, we beat the Raiders, so we're 2-1.
2-1.
We
Yeah,
play, yeah, we play Denver here, and then we play the Raiders in Vegas. But that's week 18. By week 18, a lot's going to change. I don't think Minshew's going to be out there for the Raiders. A lot will change for the Raiders by then. Again, their only bright spot is Brock Bowers. I feel bad because he's just putting up numbers for nothing. Um, but that should be a win. Broncos game should be a win. So
man, that Broncos lost to the Chiefs. Man, that could have been so big for us if they could have just gotten that field goal.
I'm not even a Broncos fan. That was heartbreaking for me. Like I am a Bo Nix fan. I've said this before. Like it's weird to cheer on someone who's in the same division, but it's just I've been a fan of his since college. But man, I don't understand how lucky can a team get? They're basically winning the games that we lost last year, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
All these close games. How lucky can you get? And the Bears yesterday with that field goal block, or the Packers, I should say, with the field goal block. Because someone was saying, Chris Collinsworth was saying, drop down when Dobbins was going in for the touchdown.
Mhm.
I was like, why are we dropping down? It's harder to get 7 than 3. And also, all these field goal blocks, I'm not saying it was going to happen, but you don't want to take it for a guarantee that he's going to make that. Just get the touchdown.
Yeah.
And Collinsworth, let me just say this too about Collinsworth, man. NBC is going to be the broadcast for that game, the Chiefs Chargers. This guy is like the number one Mahomes fan.
Yeah, he is.
It's going to be really annoying listening to that game.
It is. Everything he does. Oh, look at the way Mahomes ties his shoe. It's no one's ever done it this way before.
He does a dump off and he goes crazy over the dump off. I'm like, relax.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, but it's going to be interesting to see when Pacheco is back, which he's going to come back surprisingly against the Panthers. I think is because they're just such a bad rush defense. It's an easy way to get him back in. How does that play out?
But will he be the same? That's a tough injury coming back. He may not. He ran with so much force before. Like,
yeah,
if he's 70% of what he was, we'll see.
Yeah, that's another guy I'm a fan of. It's unfortunate they're in the same division, but Pacheco, I've always been a fan of his. He's a very good player. I hope he doesn't go off against the Chargers, but I wish him success because he's a good guy and also a very good player. So let's see how he comes back. Kareem Hunt didn't do well yesterday. I think he's kind of fading off now, but I think he'll be a pass catching back for the team. Because Pacheco, they're going to want, just a grit and grind type of runner. And that's what he's going to do. So they're going to need a pass back. Pirine's still there, but I think Hunt will take over that duty. It'll be interesting to see, first off, who's playing for us, right? Is Matt going to be back? Hopefully he's back against the Ravens. Some of the other guys, are they going to be back? I know Colson will not be. His earliest date to return is week 15. So I'd rather him just stay out until week 16 for that Broncos match, because we're going to need him for a match like that.
Well, how bad is Perriman hurt? I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
I love Troy Dye, but to have to rely on him, a little scary. Yeah.
No, Troy Dye is a very good player when it's situational.
Yeah.
Not when you have to rely on him. Like he'd be the LB2 because aside from Henley, that's it. I think for that. Nick Neiman, possibly, but he's more on the special teams side of things, which he's done a very good job this year. But yeah, I hope Perriman plays. We're gonna need him. So Perriman and Mack, we got to get back for the Ravens, because if we can win that game, fifth seed looks very, very good for us right now. That's just like the only game aside from the Chiefs game where I'm like, okay, maybe we might drop it. But after that collapse against the Steelers, the problem is now they're going to come out hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
So you have to stop Derrick Henry. I think that's the main thing. Zay Flowers is going to, do his thing. But we saw with Chase and Higgins, they did their thing and they still lost. So just stop Derrick Henry, and we've done a good job against running backs this year. This is probably the toughest test we have. Just stop him.
And you really need Mack for that. I know Henry only got something like 12 carries last game. He had the touchdown, but just finding a way to limit him like that. But I'm sure the Ravens are going to be very aware of what happened and try to get him more involved.
Right. But again, I think this is a type of game where I would start off with the ball if I'm the Chargers. Put up points. Get ahead of them so they're forced to throw. Right? Because if you are up, let's say 10-0, they're going to be more inclined to throw than run. 14-0, all the more inclined to throw. So make Lamar Jackson throw the ball.
And do we do that through the air again? Because we saw that, Greg Roman being more willing to pass again because he saw how vulnerable that Bengals secondary was, and he just attacked it. And
I love it. I'm like, dude, where have you been? And we were saying on the show, like, don't force the run. When you're gonna run, great, but don't commit to it 30 times a game like we were in the first couple games. Have Herbert do his thing. Don't shy away from that, because there are going to be games where you're going to have to throw. And if you're not throwing, if you're not getting Herbert in that rhythm, like he wasn't in the rhythm in the start of the season. Now he is. Yeah. It makes a big difference.
It does. And you saw in that Bengals game that the play action was just killing the Bengals. They were falling for it every time. And it gave up big plays, big touchdowns, the touchdown to Disley, they were biting on that play action because they were set up in run formation. And, that's what we really need the run for, to set up that play action. And Gus has been great, with that, getting, 5-6 yards a carry. And,
he's been very good since coming back. So I'm happy to see that. They both, Edwards and Dobbins, see their old foe next week. That's going to be great. Harbaugh Bowl. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great matchup. A lot of stars. I'll tell you that. There are a lot of stars on that field. So it's going to be interesting.
And I will say, we talk about this Ravens defense. They're good against the run, actually.
Yeah.
So you have to attack them through the air, you know?
Yeah. I think aside from Kyle Hamilton through the air, that's all they have. And if Hamilton's going to be on Johnston, which I assume he will be, then again, Ladd has that opening. Because like I was saying when the season started, Ladd has that Keenan Allen role, and Johnston has that Mike Williams role. So you're going to have those bigger backs or bigger DBs on Johnston. And I think Hamilton is their safety, but shadows the wide receiver one. And technically, Ladd's our wide receiver one. But Johnston playing more on the outside, I think he'll follow Johnston more than Ladd. But he's not like a Pat Surtain where you have to kind of be shivering every time you throw there. They're going to pick it off. He's not that type of player. He's more aggressive and will kind of make it know, like he's like Derwin James. He'll make it known that he's going to tackle you. That type of player. But other than that, Ravens defense doesn't have that much. You can easily exploit that defense like they did against the Bengals. Also, let's see Herbert run the ball more. I love seeing it. Those jukes are crazy.
Yeah, it's been such a weapon, so fun, and he gets so hyped up and gets everyone else so hyped up after it. It's
It's
so
just
great.
it's incredible how much Harbaugh's opened up Herbert. Like Herbert was never like this. His emotions were always inside him. Now it's just been let out, and I love it.
Yeah,
And it's just like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. What a difference a Harbaugh makes. This is exactly what we meant. I mean, this is it. Like the team itself on paper, everyone was saying it's worse than last year. And how are the Chargers going to win? This and that. This first year of Harbaugh is a waste. And now look where we are.
yeah, yeah. It's been incredible. I mean, and you look at that defense that it was always the last place, second to the last defense, for years, and the most of the same guys come back, and now
Yeah.
top defense.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think the biggest difference for that defense has been, of course, the CBs. They've been incredible. Fulton and not Hart. I'm sorry. Cam Hart.
yeah,
I
and
got him mixed up
still,
with Hart. And still, those guys have been great. I believe Hart and Still are both rookies.
yeah,
So
fifth
look at
round.
the youth. Look at the youth that we have, and they are delivering.
Yeah,
So with this youth, we're going to go into the playoffs, and usually teams that make the Super Bowl drop off, right? We're not dropping off anytime soon. Even if we do somehow make that run to the Super Bowl, we're not going to drop off next year because we're so young.
yeah,
And that's what's so special about this team. So, I mean, I've said this in the past. I'm kind of like, okay, Jesse Minter has been incredible. I don't want him to go. I
I
want him
know,
to stay as DC.
I
Uh,
know. But Harbaugh's already said, hey, he's going to be a head coach next year. He's
oh yeah,
already bracing for it. Yeah,
yeah,
there was an interview. He said
yeah.
he'll
I
play.
think he's gonna be. I mean, deservedly so.
Yeah,
The guy, he's incredible. Even in Michigan, he was great, and we're seeing Michigan now struggling without Harbaugh and all those guys, Colson and McCarthy. So, coaching matters. And we have a great staff right now, and I hope
yeah,
somehow, Minter sticks with us for one more year because next year I think we'll be even better. But I don't see it,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. We all want Minter to stay, but hey,
Yeah,
Harbaugh will pick someone great.
I think so. I think
Uh,
so.
there was an interview I saw of Navarro Bowman, our linebackers coach, and just listening to him talk, so much wisdom. He was one of the best linebackers in his
Oh yeah.
day, and
Oh yeah.
and him just coaching up Henley, like you can see why he's having so much success because this guy knows so much about what angles you got to take, and instilling that positivity that Harbaugh preaches to, and
Yeah.
you can see it with every one of these coaches Harbaugh has.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
No, I think Henley's been incredible. He's gonna be even better in the playoffs, in my opinion. Like they're just gonna get hyped for the playoffs. And as much as people have been saying Derwin's been quiet, yesterday he stepped up when he needed to. And that's what we need. And Henley really seriously reminds me of Derwin the first couple of years that Derwin was in the league. He's just
yeah,
everywhere on the field, tackling everyone in sight. He's incredible.
yeah.
And having Bowman, yeah, you're right. Because Bowman, I believe, played under Harbaugh
He
in San
did, he
Francisco.
did.
And I believe Patrick Willis was a linebacker too at the time
Yeah,
in San Francisco.
yeah,
So all these linebackers that have played under Harbaugh have been great. And now we're seeing the trend continue because even from Troy Dye to Perriman to all these guys, they played well. So there's something there.
there is, and I'm just glad this team has these coaches to do it, man. Because that wasn't there before. That wasn't there. We all talked about Henley getting a shot. Would he be playing the same? Different coaching. Maybe he doesn't become the same player.
Yeah.
Who
No, look,
knows?
I'm happy. I'm happy he didn't play
Yeah,
last year because if he did, again, like you said, you never know.
yeah,
I'm happy he didn't play last year. Thank you, Brandon Staley, for once you did something right. Because now we're seeing what Henley is made of.
yeah,
And I always go back to what a fan asked him at the training camp. When was it? Like in August. He goes, "Are they going to let you play this year?" And he goes, they're going to have to. They have no choice. And this is why. Like, he's just incredible.
Yeah. All pro level right now. All
Yeah.
pro.
I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the all pro because, like, he had 14 tackles against the Titans. I'm not sure how many he had yesterday, but a couple games.
Not as many, but
yeah, a couple games before that, he was in double digits too. He's just stepping up again, being everyone on the field when needed, and it's paying off for everybody because he seems like the glue to this defense. On top of that, these CBs locking down the receivers. I know Chase and Higgins did their thing yesterday, but that's expected. Like Chase had 200 something yards the game before, 3 touchdowns against the Ravens. Against the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember that. Imagine what these receivers are going to do next week against the Ravens.
I know, and that brings me to another point. I just wish, we've been talking so much about him. I just wish we would see DJ Chark.
Man, every time DJ Chark the name is dropped, I remember you because you always mention Chark and then he never plays. And I think the problem is that the core right now is doing so well. I think Harbaugh said this.
Yeah, he did.
That he doesn't want to mess with it.
Yeah. And I would agree with that until you see Palmer making those drops last time. Like, okay, Palmer's making drops now. Like before, he was making great clutch catches every game, 30, 40-yard catches that we needed at the time. And then now you see, okay, a couple big drops here.
Yeah.
Like, let's just see what Chark can do, I mean,
I agree. There were like 1 or 2 catches where Palmer made that were crucial. But again, the drops have just been a killer. And Jalen Reagor, I mean, he's out there, but he's not doing anything.
No, he's not. So give him those. Give him those snaps. Yeah.
Right. I don't understand. Hopefully he plays Monday because we're going to need all the wide receiver help we can get. I mean, that's a high-powered offense. As much as the defense is going to keep up with that offense, we need to put points on the board.
Yeah.
So, and we can. It's like we said, like that defense struggles, and Chase buried them, and they still lost the Bengals against the Ravens. Yeah. We're not going to lose if one of our receivers does that. I don't think they will, but like Ladd had 123 yards receiving yesterday, career high, first primetime game.
Yeah.
Let's get another career high now for a second primetime game, And let's do it because it's doable. Like this defense is not great. Ladd can easily lick his chops against his defense. And Johnson too can find those holes. Johnson's been good in the red zone. That should continue against the Ravens. But just in terms of yardage, Ladd is the guy. And I think he can really put a stamp on that game and get a touchdown because we've seen, he gets the yards but not the touchdowns. I think he gets a touchdown against the Ravens too. It's just he's just that guy, and I've said that before the season started. Like he has what it takes to be the wide receiver 1. He is the wide receiver 1, and I'm kind of glad now that we didn't get a wide receiver because imagine they'd have to get used to the playbook, and it would kind of ruin everything. Yeah. I'm glad with the way it turned out the trade deadline. I'm glad that they didn't find any good offers because we're fine right now. And next year, T. Higgins free agent. I don't see him coming back to the Bengals. Possibly we pick him up. I don't know. We'll see. But if Herbert's going to be throwing the ball like this, we're going to need a T. Higgins.
Yeah, it's exciting times, this season and the future. We have so much cap space beyond this, but we're dangerous right now.
Which is crazy. Like again, we were considered a rebuild year, 8.5 wins over under, and we're already at 7. So I think, like you said, this isn't the end up for us. Like this isn't the do or die. We're not veterans here. We're not, maybe Khalil Mack, but I think Khalil Mack will return at least one more season, if not 2. He wants to win. I know it. But even if we don't get there this year, next year, I can definitely see us making a much bigger run to the Super Bowl. And either way, this is a much better direction we're headed toward than last year. No matter what anyone says, the Anthony Lynn days, the Brandon Staley days, all these guys, it paid off.
Definitely. And hey, let's take a look at that playoff picture. Yeah, I mean, you still have the Chiefs at number 1.
Yeah.
Bills there, Steelers. But hey, we're in a nice spot where we're at right now. If we can stay there.
I like the 5th spot. Again, none of these teams are bad. Obviously, you get to this point, every team you're going to face is going to be good, right?
Yeah.
Having said that, out of all these teams, I'd much rather face the Texans because I'm a huge Stroud fan, but without Diggs, and we'll see tonight the way they play against the Cowboys, who are also depleted. They haven't looked that great without Diggs. Even with Diggs on the field and Nico Collins out, they haven't looked great. So always that one receiver was missing. Mixon, he's playing well, but again, we've stopped the run pretty well this year. I don't think he'll do much against us. So that's the team that I don't like to face. Also, selfish reasons. It's a closer flight to Houston than Pittsburgh or Buffalo, especially Buffalo in that freezing cold. But as long as, honestly, I was thinking about this yesterday night. As long as we can avoid Buffalo until the championship game, I don't see anybody stopping us. I just don't. I don't think Chiefs will beat us. They're just not a good team. Truly, you look at their record. Okay, they're 9-1. We get it. They are not a good team though, because all these games that they've won have been very close, very beatable, right? That Broncos game being prime example. They should have won. And block kick. Are you kidding me? Come on. So yesterday we saw against a legitimate team against like the Bills, they lost. Even with Hopkins, he's not being involved much. So Pacheco, is it going to make that big of a difference? I hope not, because I'd rather, we face them in a divisional and beat them and move on to the championship game. But I kind of was wishing we beat them first, week 14, but this worked out. This worked out because now we can beat them and move one game closer to the division. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Right now, I like where we're at. I like the Texans matchup a lot. Yeah, I'm happy with where we are.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be at, and we got to get that win against the Ravens to keep it going. Because
definitely, you got to beat the Ravens because otherwise, look at it, like they're neck and neck with us. So they'll get the 5th if they beat us. Obviously, we have still time to get to the 5th, but I'd rather us win here, give ourselves a cushion.
Yeah, or else you're looking at the Bills then. If you drop down to 6, in that quote.
7th would be the Bills. So the Broncos probably play the Bills. Going to be tough for the Broncos. But even in the Steelers, I think we could beat. It's just I'd rather face the Texans. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, but I just feel like they are the favorable matchup here compared to the others. Not to say that we won't beat the Steelers. I think we will. Again, the only team I'm afraid of here is the Bills.
Yeah.
That's really it. And if you go down a little, I'm not sure who's in that bubble. But okay, so the Colts, Dolphins, Bengals. So the Dolphins actually have a pretty easy schedule coming up. I wouldn't say easy. I would say favorable. If they can rack up some wins here, they could get to 7 and possibly play the Bills, which would make it interesting. But even with the Broncos, I think they've been good enough this year to kind of, threaten the Bills a bit. We'll see how that plays out. They don't even know who their running back is, like their RB1. So I don't know how that's going to play out. But Colts probably are out of it. I don't see them really making a run. And Bengals, they're just dysfunctional right now with what Chase said last night. So the Dolphins or the Broncos really, I think, make that 7 seed. Broncos probably are the favorites to make that 7 seed because they're 6-5 now, and the Dolphins, what is that, 4-7? There's a 2 lead position, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
Dolphins 4-6,
4-6.
Bengals 4-7. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of football to play still. That doesn't really matter for us, the ones on the bubble, because we're gonna face the top 4 seeds, whoever is there. I should say top 4, because even if we win the wild card, we're definitely playing the Chiefs in the divisional. So we're gonna have to go through the Chiefs. I mean, that's not a secret. But to go through the Chiefs and the Bills, that's a tough task. I'd rather the Ravens meet the Bills and possibly take care of business there in the divisional. And then, can you imagine a Harbaugh Bowl in the playoffs, AFC Championship game? And if this stays here, let's say we're 5th, they're 6th, we have home field at SoFi, AFC Championship game. That's my dream here. Like Chargers, Chiefs divisional, Bills, Ravens. Ravens take the Bills out. Chargers take the Chiefs out. Chargers, Ravens at SoFi. I mean, that would be so electric.
I would.
But man, there's still a lot of football to be played. So we just got to take care of business next Monday. And if we can beat the Ravens, again, I don't see many other teams beating us the remainder of the season, except for maybe the Chiefs. So we have a clear path here. We just got to beat the Ravens Monday.
Yeah, man. I've been a season ticket holder since Chargers season ticket holder since 2015 in San Diego. I've never had a home playoff game. Never had a home playoff game. So I would love that. All the fans would love that.
And that's another thing. Like people are saying, okay, well, we can't get to first anyway because Chiefs are ahead of us. So who cares if we're 5th, 6th, or 7th? Well, that's where it matters. Yeah. In case there's an upset, we have the home field, and that's where it matters. So again, we're 2 games out of first. And I don't think people realize this. We're 2 games out of first right now. If the Bills keep winning, they're going to be first. So if the Chiefs lose, let's say, and they're 9-2 each, then the Chiefs are second. Bills are first. And I believe if that happens, we still play the Chiefs regardless because it's divisional. So I think it's regardless we play the Chiefs. But what that does is that forces the Chiefs to play an extra game that they have not played in some time, which is a wild card game. And imagine Broncos Chiefs wild card. That's a divisional game and the playoff game. And they almost beat them by a field goal. And they play Week 18 in Denver. So there's a lot still undecided. A lot's going to change. But just whatever's in front of us right now, I think Bills finish first.
That would be great. That would be great. Because
even if we can't catch up to the Chiefs, if they're second and they have to play the Broncos, we're beating them in the divisional. I'll tell you that right now. If they don't lose first to the Broncos, because the Broncos are sneaky good. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's exciting, man.
A lot of uncertainty, good uncertainty. So I really have enjoyed watching this season. It's only gonna get better, and we'll be back Thursday to discuss the Ravens matchup. But man, it's a really good season. I don't know what else to say. It's just a lot of good teams.
It is, and just to be at that game, that it was so good. It was like cathartic, man. Like oh man,
and
amazing.
And to happen to Dobbins out of all players, man. Like this guy, there was a list. Let me see if I can find it. Someone wrote a list of all the injuries that he's gone through.
I saw that. And it's no one's ever come back from that, and especially so soon after too,
right?
Imagine if he gets even stronger in a year,
I think we would sign him.
We have to.
Yeah, there's no other option here. We have to resign him. because this guy is giving it all for us, so we have to give it to him now. Right here, broken fibula, torn ACL, torn LCL, torn meniscus, torn hamstring, torn Achilles.
Even if you took just the Achilles, so many guys have not come back from an Achilles, or not the same, at least for a couple years,
Right. So an MD, Jesse Morris, I don't know if you've seen him on Twitter.
Yeah.
He commented under that tweet. He goes, he's defied all the odds and is the only RB to look good in his first season back post Achilles. For what it's worth, his ACL tear was a bad one, not straightforward.
Yeah, and he tracks all the player injuries, so he knows.
Yeah. So just what the things that this guy's gone through, man. I mean, to come back from all of that, not just come back with a vengeance, come back strong. And just imagine, like, we're just talking here about, Ravens, Harbaugh against Harbaugh, this and that. This guy's saying, no, these guys let me go when I was at my lowest. Now watch what I'm going to do. So I cannot wait to see Dobbins against the Ravens.
You wonder if he's going to be maybe pressing because he wants it so bad, But,
Look, another thing is, I don't want them to continuously feed him.
Yeah.
And then him get like 2 yards per carry, because that's not going to work either.
Yeah.
But what they did yesterday with Dobbins, his workload was perfect. Just keep it that way, because he's going to be more efficient. And that's what matters, like the efficiency. You get 56 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Ravens, you've shown them. You don't need to get 30 carries and 90 yards,
Yeah. So
I think efficiency is key. Maybe they will force feed him in the first half. I'm okay with that, as long as we're, neck and neck or ahead. I'm okay with that. I think he deserves his flowers. He deserves to kind of go off against his former team, especially after the way they let him go.
Yeah, and he's such a positive, likable guy. You listen to him speak, and you see the energy he has and that he must bring to the team. And everybody loves this guy.
Yeah. I mean, look at what he said yesterday after the game. He was asked, like, how did you overcome this, and that? He goes, I just want to thank Jesus first and foremost. He goes, and I worked hard, I prayed hard, and now I'm here. He's just such a, positive guy. And, this is the type of people you want to see succeed.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for him. I hope we re-sign him. We must re-sign him. There's no other way around it. I know the RB market, I don't care about any of that right now. Just re-sign this guy. He's going to win comeback player of the year. And maybe bring back Gus.
Bring him back.
Bring him back. You got to sign a big RB, but why not bring him back?
Yeah.
He already knows the playbook. So I think we keep these guys intact. Add a wide receiver. This team's going to be very scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only way you don't bring back Gus is if you can get like Derrick Henry or something, that's not happening.
That was last year. Yeah. I think if we were going to get him, we were going to get him last year. And I heard, I don't know who was saying this, the Cowboys, he was prepared to go to the Cowboys.
I heard that.
And I think the Ravens were like the third team. And I remember when the free agency started, he was still there. Like, he was a free agent like third day or fourth day, something like that. And then the Ravens signed him. But I think it worked out for all. I know the Cowboys have struggled, but the rookie, the Boise State RB, Ashton Janty, I think is his name. That guy's a tank too. So he's predicted to go to the Cowboys. So I think it worked for all groups involved. But yeah, we need to re-sign him. That's just it. Like, I don't see him being on any other team. We had faith in him. He has faith in us. It's a perfect match. We got to bring him back. I don't think anyone expected him to play this well. Like, we said he's going to play well, but not this well. He's just a touchdown machine. And we're not even talking about there's touchdown machines like Derrick Henry, but look at where he's getting his touchdowns from mainly. 1 yard line. Yeah. Dobbins is getting his touchdowns like Saquon is. He's not getting the amount of yards,
Yeah.
but still getting the touchdowns like Saquon is. It's not like 1 yard, 2 yards. It's 20, 30-yard touchdowns. That's special.
It is. And I'm so glad I got him at the end of so many of my drafts, man. He's just like boosting so many of my fantasy teams right now. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know what was weird though? What was up with Haskins getting the goal line carries? Like, you know, I understand it against his former team in Tennessee, but then, you know, you're forcing him this time, and then finally, you know, the last time Herbert calls a timeout and they go to Dobbins and he jumps over the pile, you know.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I know Harbaugh loves him because of his Michigan days. I know, but he's a good special teams player, not a great running back. And it's weird because like you have Gus back now. So if you need a big back to be there, okay, there's Gus.
Yeah.
Why are we using Haskins in those situations? Because if we were using him and he was succeeding, okay.
Yeah.
But we haven't really seen that success. So I would love to see Dobbins in those situations. Like I know he's smaller, but he's getting the job done. I get it because you know he's Harbaugh's guy.
Mm-hmm.
But we signed him. I mean, we already, you know, like he's already on the team. He doesn't need to prove anything.
Yeah.
You know, he's with us. He's probably gonna be with us next year too. So and I think that's why Kimani Vidal is inactive because Haskins is that third running back. But Vidal, you know, he will get his opportunity, I think. I don't know if he'll be with us though. Because Dobbins is still 25. Like, believe it or not, he's still really young. And Edwards, I believe, is 29. He has another couple of years to go because RBs, you know, they get slower, quicker than others. Not every RB is Derrick Henry. So, like Ezekiel Elliott is a perfect example. So we'll see about Edwards. I think we'll bring him back. Again, a short-term deal, like 1 or 2 years. But Dobbins, I'd like to see a 3 or 4 year deal because he's just young and again, we had the faith in him before or after that injury, those horrible injuries. Why not now?
Yeah. Well, let's bring him back. And hey, this been a great stretch for us Charger fans. Remember to subscribe, smash that like button, leave us a comment, you know, and go over to Underdog Fantasy, promo code BOLT. They'll match up to $1,000. You know, get your Chargers in, JK, Lad, you know, and join us again Thursday for our preview for that big Ravens game.
Yeah.
All right.
Bolt up.
Bolt up.